Hi guys, welcome to Sourcing Classes. This is Hima Hegde, bringing before you a video series on current and contemporary affairs in anthropology. Here is a video lecture for the same. Presented before you are the two chosen topics from the A&D document, that is, the Anthropology News Diary document that's being uploaded on a daily basis in the official Sourcing Classes website. So in today's session, we have the Uncontacted or the isolated tribes and racism. Firstly, let us dive into the islands of the isolated tribes, if only that was allowed. So, who are the isolated tribes or the uncontacted tribes? Keywords first. Indigenous people in voluntary isolation. Hidden, uncontacted, lost. Right to self-isolation. Let us now look into two such isolated tribes. The first one is the Sentinelese Tribe from India, Andaman Islands, India. The second one would be the Anga tribe from the Papua New Guinea Islands. The Sentinelese people of North Sentinel Island, which lies near the South Andaman Island, in Bay of Bengal, they reject contact. They tend to reject contact. Attempts have been made to contact them, and these have been usually rebuffed, sometimes with lethal force. The language is markedly different from other languages on the Andamans, which suggests that they have been isolated for thousands of years. According to experts, they are the most isolated group in the world. However, some individuals have repeatedly attempted to intrude upon them, although such attempts are against the law. In November 2018, American missionary John Allen Chau was killed by the Sentinelese during an illegal expedition to the island. Here's a news clipping of the same.
Weeks after an American man was believed to have been killed by a tribe on a remote island, his body remains there. John Allen Chau wanted to bring Christianity to the people of North Sentinel Island in the Bay of Bengal. Fishermen reported they watched as tribe members shot him with arrows. Now advocates for the tribe are insisting that his body be left alone.
Obviously, everyone has huge sympathy for his family, and it's a terrible and difficult situation for them. But survival has been calling for the body, no attempts to be made to go and retrieve his body from North Sentinel Island. It's incredibly dangerous for the people that would attempt to undertake the mission, and also potentially devastating again for the Sentinelese tribe.
Survival International advocates for the rights of tribes across the globe, especially tribes that resist contact with strangers. They say isolated tribes don't have the immunity from diseases that outsiders like Chau could be carrying. And any attempt to remove his body could be fatal for the North Sentinelese people.
It's really not uncommon for an uncontacted tribe, when they first have contact with people from outside, to be completely decimated by disease. Many communities, 90% were wiped out, and some, the whole community disappeared.
Chau wrote in his journal that he made several attempts to contact the North Sentinelese tribe, who responded hostilely to him. Survival International says the tribe's isolation is a choice that should be honored.
They've made it extremely clear that they didn't want contact. They made it clear for decades. They made it extremely clear to John himself when the first two attempts he made to go to the island, they basically sent him away, and yet he went back. It's really important that people respect the rights of uncontacted tribes to not have contact.
India's laws prohibit unsanctioned trips to the island, and several people who allegedly helped Chau on his journey have been arrested. Survival International says they hope prosecution will deter others from helping people attempt to reach the island.
There are over 40 uncontacted tribes living in the West Papua region in Indonesia, although contact is usually established upon their initial encounter. It is illegal for the journalists and other organizations to enter West Papua, yet there is no dedicated government agency for the protection of isolated indigenous groups. The Angu or the Anga people, the tribe, are a small and previously violent group living mainly in the high mountainous region of Papua New Guinea. A film by Jean Perry shows the first ever contact between the Taulambi tribe, which is a part of the Anga or the Angu tribe, and the white people in December 1993. Here's a clip of the same. The second topic for today's session would be racism. Now this is one of the most contemporary topics. How often do you not see these headlines in the newspaper regarding racism? So first, let us look into the context. The United Nations Human Rights Council, that is the UNHRC, recently adopted a milestone UN resolution to create an independent mechanism to investigate the root causes of systemic racism, that is the institutional racism, and police violence, the police brutality. The independent experts are responsible for examining systemic racism, in particularly in law enforcement as well as government responses to peaceful anti-racism protests, discriminatory policing and other human rights violations against the Africans and people of African descent around the globe. Now, you all must be aware of the most recent incident of the Black Lives Matter, the one that took place in the year 2020. So here's a clip.
The message is clear. In their thousands, they converged on downtown Washington, D.C. Local officials had projected over 100,000 people would attend. The heat and humidity were no deterrent.
Black Lives Matter, BLM, is a political and social movement protesting against incidents of police brutality and all racially motivated violence against black people. In the year 2020, there was a raging outbreak of protests under the BLM slogan, that is the Black Lives Matter slogan, following the murder of George Floyd, a black security officer, by a Minneapolis cop. What exactly is racism? So the keywords again: division, superiority, discrimination. Race is a social construct. Ancestry. Now let us dive into it. Racism is a belief that humans may be divided into separate and exclusive biological entities called races, that there is a causal link between inherited physical traits and traits of personality, intellect, morality, and other cultural and behavioral features. Apartheid practiced in South Africa is one such example of racism. Racism is a prejudice, discrimination which is exhibited by a large group of people against people from different race or ethnicity due to the difference in their physical appearances. In the biological and social sciences, the consensus is clear. Race is a social construct, not a biological attribute. Today, scientists prefer to use the term ancestry to describe human diversity. Ancestry reflects the fact that human variations do have a connection to the geographical locations of our ancestors. With enough information about a person's DNA, scientists can make a reasonable interpretation of their ancestry. We as a species have been estimated to share 99.9% of our DNA with each other. The few differences that do exist reflect differences in environment and external factors, not core biology. Most importantly, the evolution of the skin color occurred independently and did not influence other traits such as mental abilities and behavior. In fact, science has yet to find evidence that there are genetic differences in intelligence between the populations. Ultimately, while there are certainly some biological differences between the populations, these differences are very few and superficial. The traits that we do share are far more profound.
Colorblindness is our game because everyone's the same. Everybody join our circle, doesn't matter if you're white or black
or purple. What the? Whoa. Hold up a minute here. Ugh, who wrote this? I think it kind of does matter that I'm purple. I mean, I'm purple because I'm literally an alien.
Well, I'm not an alien, but it definitely matters to me that I'm black. Yeah, it makes a difference that I'm white. I know the two of us get treated very differently.
I just think it's messed up to compare me being an alien to you two being different races. You're both human. You're totally biologically the same. Adding purple people into a lesson about human racism makes no sense.
Yeah, that is pretty weird. I think people like the black, white, or purple thing because adding a fantasy race in there helps distract from the actual racism black people have to deal with.
Right. My experience with anti-black racism is really specific. Other people of color experience other forms of racism too, but you won't see any of that if you don't see color.
Dude, so this entire public service announcement could be a ploy to avoid talking about racism altogether. Hey, could we get a rewrite where we appreciate each other without erasing what makes each of us different?
Okay, but it's gonna add a couple hours to the shoot.
I can
My
make it work.
speaker's open.
You were rolling just now, weren't you? Can't we just slap some graphics on this and call it a day?
So that is it for today. Hope you found it informative. Thank you.